Matthew, Customer Success Manager. We have Todd, Justin, and some other members from the team here today. So we'll be answering your questions. Just to go over some brief overview, we're going to try to keep the questions to be Quickbase add-on specific. If we have a bunch of questions or you have questions about what we're talking about, if you can just raise your hand, just to keep things orderly, that'd be awesome. We're going to try to keep it to 5 to 7 minutes per question. And everyone is going to have access to this on our help site. It's really easy to get to. And, you know, it's under these office hours. So we will send you guys links to this as well. You know, just to start off, you know, first thing is really open forum. So if anyone has any questions that they have and they've been dying to ask, now would be the time, because we'd love to hear from you first. If not, then we can go into today's topic, which is the Juiced Cloud. So, questions first. And if you do not want to ask questions online or in person, you can type them into the chat, you know, or send them to Justin or myself, and we'd be happy to answer those as well. Well, I know I have a few people in here that have questions for me. So if those come up throughout the time, do not be shy. But for now, I think it's good to kind of get started with the Juiced Cloud. So let me just bring over this screen. All right. So as many of you may know, the Juiced Cloud is really our home page for everything that has to do with your add-ons. But I believe what would be best is to show you from part one. And if you have some, you know, other people in your company that you would like to show this to, then that would be great too. So if you wanted to register, you do not have an account for the Juiced Cloud, you can hit register now. And there's an easy form that you could fill out. When you fill this out, you're going to get an email confirming, and it's just going to bring you to the login screen here. And, you know, obviously we have the native functionality that you have on any login screen: forget password, register for access, remember me, and then your own login. So I'm just going to log in here. And I'm just going to switch over to my builder account because we have many accounts. But for you guys, you should by default land to your own page. Now for me, this is my builder account. These are the active add-ons I have. It's going to, of course, look a little different for each one of you based off the add-ons that you are subscribed to. So I have my active add-ons here. I have some on trial add-ons here. And thankfully I have no deactivated add-ons or canceled. So to go forward a little bit, you have your menu bar at the top. Obviously the Juice will take you back to your home screen, as will home. So if you go into one of the add-ons, the best way to jump out is just by hitting home. Users, which is a great place to go, is where you would invite additional users into your company's Juiced Cloud account. So invite users over here in the corner is where you'd want to go. If you have additional, you know, developers or billing contacts that you would like to include, you're just going to hit invite users, and I'll just put my personal email in just to. And when you click on the role, you could do either admin, finance, or user. 90% of the time, we recommend just doing admin. Cancel that for now. You could also edit users or resend invites or remove them with this operations in the corner. Back to the top, we have support. And creating a support ticket is definitely one of the most important things that the cloud offers. And this will alert the whole team right away if you have any issues. So you have some categories to choose from: general, bug report, feedback, or request feature. Subject line, CC additional users or emails. Add-on that you're having issues with. And link to a Quickbase record, which is always recommended. In order to do that, we may have to have our service account in your cloud, in your Quickbase realm. So if that is something that is not the case, then you can include that in the description or just invite QB tools. And then of course, a description of the issue that you're having, and that is simple support stuff that's, it's the same for everywhere you go. The other thing that I wanted to point out is in the top right corner, we have account settings. And this isn't necessarily the most popular place to go, but there's a lot of power over here. Of course, you have the description of your company, which you cannot change, and your account URL, which should be the correct account based off of the @quickbase.com. But if you wanted to add a phone number or change your main contact information, you can do that here. Address, not necessary, but of course, you can put that in if you'd like for billing purposes. In the user profile, it's going to be about the same thing. You could change your password, upload a photo, and this information, if you'd like any of this changed, just reach out to myself, or a support ticket would be perfect. And to go into detail, this is actually a new section here. So we have billing details, and I wanted to show you guys, mine's got some static stuff. I'm on a no charge because we don't charge for builder accounts. But I just wanted to show you a snipping of one that does have some information. So there's some power in seeing this. You get to get a breakdown of your subscription start date, end date, the total amount of transactions you paid for the year, the annualized cost, as well as the frequency and the line items, and then some action items of buy more. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But this is a new section. It really gives you guys a summary of what you're subscribing to, and answers a lot of questions that we frequently get. Lastly on this, we have client contacts. If you wanted to just have a contact on our end that isn't there already, a lot of times a billing contact would be recommended, or just a secondary contact. If you plan on maybe moving on to a different company and you're the only contact we have, that's something else frequent that we have to change. And many times we have user tokens associated to individuals. So now that I went through the top bar, also register a new client, not something that many clients would have to consider. I'm going to just go through these. I'm not going to go through each tile today because I believe that it would be a little tedious to go through each one, but I'm just going to click on one, and I'm going to go to QB signatures just to show you what's going on. In QB signatures and all add-ons, you'll see a description of the add-on, the authorized apps you have, the ability to authorize additional apps, and just a breakdown of what you already have. On the right over here, you have some pricing information that'll break down the base pricing, as well as additional usage pricing, so how much per pack if you needed to purchase more, and some bulk rates, which of course, if you're doing 2 million plus signatures, you'll get the best price. And here you see for me, I have no activities. Again, this is a builder account, but you would see your activities based off of what you're using. So you have a breakdown per month. And then this is a gauge graph, which I think I might have over here, but I might have to pull up another client to show you that. And then just the add-on subscription info. Again, this is blank right now, mainly because it's a builder account. I think, and Justin or Todd, correct me if I'm wrong, we should be saving the authorized new application for another office hours or a separate session. But we can go through adding signatures if we'd like. Each one of these wizard setups are a little bit different for each add-on because there's just a few different requirements for each add-on. But to go through the simple steps, each one will have 3 or 4 tabs. You'll have either use a token or enter a new one. Select one that you want, only one. When you hit next, you select the application. And for signatures, all you need to know is the table. There's nothing else you would select. So choose documents and finish. Our wizards are that easy. So when you do this, you actually get those fields created for you. each wizard is different, so we're going to save that for a separate session, going through each individual wizard setup and what is required. But that's just a sample size for that.
And then Matt, just quick question in the chat from Jennifer. She's just curious if you're able to remove an authorized application from the list there.
That is a great question. At this time, you do not have the ability to do that from the cloud. You would have to reach out to one of us to do that. That is something we are working towards adding, but we don't really want to get that.
Matthew, a support case would be the best way to do it, right? Add a support case and tell us the app, and we can take care of that.
Yep. Yeah, that's just, we don't want to give too much power, just like with Quickbase. When you delete something, it's usually gone. So we try to limit the ability for user error. So before I get too in depth, something else that we actually got a support question on this week was that, I think, Justin, you might even have it to read out loud, but it has to do with refreshing the cloud. And this is a great question that I answer all the time. Do you have it up, Justin, or do you want me to read it?
I do. So someone wrote in a simple question, but they said, I started a trial for Exact Forms Plus, but I don't see any changes. Is there something I'm doing wrong?
So that's a great question, and I get that all the time. When you start a trial, sometimes there's caching in the Juice Cloud, so it doesn't exactly keep up. So you might see that it's in trial, but you believe it should be active, or you think you should see a trial and it still says start trial. So your first thought is to click start trial again. If you believe you've started the trial and you have successfully installed the add-ons into your applications, please be sure to hit this refresh button in the top. This will kind of run everything again and make sure the most up-to-date information is shown. If you still have an issue after doing that, then contact one of us, or a support case, of course. That is definitely a huge thing to remember. This refresh button will give you the most up-to-date information, especially if you haven't logged in a while. Besides that, we have our office hours, which you guys are currently attending. So, feel free to use these as well. And we do hope to have some more explainer videos as well here in the future. So be sure to keep an eye out for the right side of the screen. Besides that, on your left side of the screen, you kind of just have a quick toggle menu on how to view some of your other add-ons. So if I wanted to just jump into one, it'll do that here. I also have data connections. Data connections are most important for QB Courier. So it is shown at the top. If you create a data connection, it's just connecting a user token. And we went through that last week as well. So I'm not going to go too far in depth, but that is really only for Courier. All right. So I just spoke for a long time with no pause or break, really. Does anyone have any questions or comments based off of that? And again, the data connections within Courier would be in here. So this is where the data connections will come into play. If you have a configuration, you would be selecting that data connection here. So that is the main purpose of those data connections. Does anyone have any questions about their own individual use cases? Questions regarding Exact Forms Plus, Courier, Excel Docs? Okay, we got two. Justin, that looked like a tie. Do you know who went first?
So we're gonna start off with Jennifer.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask her to unmute.
All right.
All right. Matthew, this is kind of what we have been emailing about. Can you show me on Exact Form Plus what I need to do to set up a different document name when it generates my document using some of the fields in my table?
Right. Good question. So for those of you who do not know, when you edit the field properties of Exact Forms Plus, you can actually do some editing right here. And I'm choosing to show this one because this is just a standard file name right here. For when the wizard sets you up, you will have EFP document by default in there. Just put it in the quote. We changed it here to be, create and clear, CAC. But if I wanted to add something else like company name after this, the best way to do that is to actually just put in an ampersand, and then let's do project name maybe. So Jennifer, I'm not sure if that's what you're alluding to, but are you using a button or are you using Exact Forms Plus batch?
Just using a button. And so I just want the PDF document that it outputs to have some of the, utilize like a job number and a job name and maybe a date, just fields that are in my table. Because I was able to change it to just have it be something fixed, but okay.
So if you
And that's what, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you
Okay.
wanted to have it like that, something I recommend maybe is putting just maybe an underscore in there. Is that gonna work? Might need to open that up.
Ampersand
Another ampersand.
Yeah. and no comma. There you go.
So if you wanted an underscore there, that's one way you can do it. So when I go to generate this now, and then it comes back to the Juice Cloud, and this is just a standard document. When I hit refresh here, it throws a bunch more information in there.
Okay, can you go back and show me that button formula? I want to take a quick screen grab of it because I'm kind of new to all of this, so I want to be sure that it's hard for me to make sure I get my ampersands and quotations and everything in the right spot. So okay.
It's really this line right here.
Yep, I got that, and I will give that a try.
Perfect. Yep.
Thank you.
And Matthew, just one additional item to that. There's the FN RID, right? So I think you can get rid of the, right, you can get rid of the record ID.
If you did not want to have the record ID included in the name,
right?
Right now, I kind of did a quick jump to the Exact Forms Plus formula URL parameters. So we have this FN, which is what we just spoke on. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a breakdown of what you can do. But then in the FN RID, which is what Todd was alluding to, we actually have the ability now to remove the record ID from the end. So imagine you just did a wizard setup and it's saying EFP document _1 because it's your first record, but you don't want the _1 at the end. By including FN RID equals no, you can actually remove that record ID. Okay, so if we were to do that now, create and clear. And now refresh this and go back to create and clear. You see it's just project doc CAC, where in the past, if you actually see here, it was project doc CAC _3.
Okay, so I could apply that to the middle example and append all my stuff and then take that record ID off. So
correct. So
okay,
that would just remove that at the end there.
I think that's exactly what I need. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Todd, for pointing that out because I would not have mentioned that, but that is somewhat of a newer parameter, so it is good to mention here. So I'm just gonna comment that out because I don't want that there. So I think I might have had another question. I think Logan, it might have been yours, and I saw you raised your hand for a second there. Are you jumping? Okay, cool. You raised your hand again. Hi, Logan. If you don't mind unmuting, no problem. But I actually do know Logan's question as well. So I can just move forward with it if he doesn't mind. Logan was asking me, yep, he gave me the thumbs up. Love that. Thank you, Logan. Logan was asking me earlier in emails kind of how to do add files. So he might have seen add files here and got excited. So this add files parameter will only work when you're generating the document as a PDF, but you could also append additional PDFs to the document. So right now add files equals nothing. But if I were to grab a field and let's see, so this is 172. So let's grab 104. So if I grabbed 104, hypothetically, I should be able to create this document as well as append that additional document. And thank you, Justin, for putting those parameters in. So you guys know where I was getting this information from. So again, just to jump back to make sure everyone saw what I did, I just added field ID 104 to add files. So if I exit and just show you again, this project document PDF is field ID 104. So the intention here is when I create this, it's not just going to have that singular page, but also the second PDF, which it does. So it brought over that additional PDF, which was actually 4 pages as well, but it brought that additional documentation over. So that is how simple add files is. It's really, really powerful, of course, because if you have a cover page, or actually that wouldn't work, I'll take that back because it will come after. But if you have additional documentation that you'd like to include, add files is a great tool. Again, the reason why a cover page wouldn't work, which I misspoke instead, is it will append it after the generated document.
Yeah.
So
And the PDF that you're adding can also come from a different table as well.
That's true.
Which is handy.
So if you wanted to have it come from a separate table, you would have to, so to pull from another table, you would use the DB ID, the record ID, or the record that has the file that you're looking for. So you would have DB ID, record ID, file attachment field. So I'm gonna close this. And let's see. I don't know which one of these would have another document. Looks like maybe these will. Todd, would you happen to know if any of these other tables have supporting docs? That sounds good. All right. So this is record ID 1. So for this use case, I would take this DB ID, jump back here, and I would put 1, and let's just double check. So it's DBID : record : 1 : and that was field 6. So 6. So let's give that a try. So I was able to grab that additional document as well. We got some nice legacy logos here. But this is just another Exact Forms Plus document, but appended to it with add files. So that is how you would do it for another table. I feel like multiple docs would be separated by, so I think that's correct. Let me check that. So Logan was asking if you had multiple files, would it just be separated with another colon in between?
Separated by dots. By see here, 109.108.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, and all of those the
Add
fields.
files.
That's the file attachment field.
Mhm.
Okay, separated by multiple files with a dot right here. Correct. Okay. So yeah, yep, awesome. So happy to help, Logan. I think that might answer your question in full. And yeah, that's a great one too, because add files is super powerful. Okay, must be included in the seals duct. Okay. All right, very good. All right. Now that we answer those two, does anyone else have any additional questions? Now, you guys may not, and I think we have maybe one or two more support questions about the cloud that we can review, but I might have touched upon those already.
Yeah, Matt, you had touched upon one of them involving changing the primary email address, but there was another one.
Okay.
If you don't mind, I'll just go ahead and read it.
Why
Says,
don't we do the primary email address one too, because I think that's good to reiterate.
sure. So it says, are you able to change the email address for my user profile, or do I simply need to create another login for the cloud?
So if you wanted to change the email address associated in users, you would have this edit button, which would do the role. So I don't think that that would be the best way to do it. I think you would need to invite an additional user and then remove the old one unless it's the client admin. Client admin cannot be removed. Something else to consider, and this happens quite frequently as well, if someone were to leave the company, let's say, and they're the primary contact on our end, they may own the user token that we have on file. So even if you're moving to a different role within the company, but you're no longer going to be directly overseeing things that involve Quickbase, and you want to have someone else provide that user token and have an account here, inviting a user would be great. For updating the user token, you would need to let us know over a support ticket, because we do get that quite often. Someone will mention, I want to change my user token to not use 784 anymore. I want to use, one that ends in 825, whatever it might be. You would have to contact us. And I do have Manal here, but I believe we're working towards having an update screen on the cloud for the user token. But for now, you would have to send us an email and we would just send you a secure link to update it there. And that's a major reason why when people have new users, that's something that is frequently asked. And then you had another one, Justin, I believe, right?
Yes, we did. So this one's a little wordy, so bear with me. All right. I've noticed in the activity section of the cloud that I'm almost out of transactions in the current period for my Exact Forms Plus subscription. I'm doing a batch generation later this week and was wondering if there's an easy way to add additional transactions to my account.
That's a great question. So within the tile, you're going to have a button up here that says buy more. This button's not going to work for me, as everything else so far has shown to not show up correctly. And that's because I'm on no trial. But I know this client won't mind if I quickly show their activities. Here's how the activities will look. And when you go to purchase more here, you'll get a screen to pop up to purchase more. That happens live. There's no questions, on our end. So you just basically enter the amount of documents that you'd like to purchase on there. If you're an annual client, there's no need to worry if you exceed your limits. There's no hard stops. But there would be an invoice after the fact for the amount exceeded. For monthly clients, there is a hard stop. So purchasing more is definitely something to consider because you will need to, have that, or else you will get hard stopped. But that is a good question, and another thing we get quite frequently. So after those two questions, we're at the 2:30 mark, and we usually offer to go the full hour. But I want to open this time up for you guys. We have a little bit of a smaller session today. If anyone has any questions, we'd love to take them because this is the open forum time. This is your guys' time. But if not, we'd be happy to give you guys 29 minutes of your day back to maybe get a cup of coffee and relax. Any questions? Hearing a lot of silence. Justin, any additional support cases you could think of?
Matt, nothing off the top of my head. That's what we had here. We
Yep.
we answered everything we had here. So
Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess on that note, we're going to keep this week to be a little bit shorter. I hope you guys still appreciated the time and got something out of it. We will again be here next week with another topic, which we will announce later. But again, thank you guys all for coming, and we will see you next week.